So a frequently asked question is that how much money is a good amount to start trading, right? So first of all, before we go into deep connection, is that first of all you need to understand pip count in relation to trade currency, right? I'm gonna be using the US dollar as a reference in this example, right? So for example, let's say your net profit is 1,000 pips every month, plus minus, can be more, can be less, plus minus 1,000 pips a month, right? So on a standard account, which means 0.01 lot size, which is the smallest lot size, right, is for it to be $1, we are looking at around 10 pips for that to happen. So if you're catching 100 pips on a daily, once every day, once a month, whatever the case is, if you're catching $100 pips every day, you're catching $10 every day, because it's in relation, right? So that means that 1,000 pips, referring to the how much you'd be catching a month, 1,000 pips is equal to $100, right? So because we know this, how much do we need in order to make $100? So we can say $50, right? But roughly $100, 100 USD is a safe and enough investment, because if you're risking, that means if you are risking 10 pips each trade, that means you have to lose 100 times for the entire investment to be wiped off. So for you to blow an account, you have to lose 100 times, and I don't care how bad a strategy is, seems very, very unlikely that to happen, right? So that's why roughly $100, because the account needs to be able to handle losses. It needs to be able to handle losses. So if you have $100, right, and you're moving backwards, meaning you lose $1, $1, all the way until it gets to 92,000, right? So also risk to reward plays a big role in this amount. So roughly $100, but 50 is okay as well. I just needed to say that as well, right? You can even go in with 10 with 10. If you know what you're doing, you can even go in with 10, right? So according to Business Insider, a good amount to live a comfortable life globally is $5,800, right? Which is roughly around 90k in ZAR, 90k ZAR. So I'm gonna round it up. So 10k. In order to make 10k USD, a safe investment, meaning the safest amount you can put in the account, literally, would be $10,000, which means each month you're working on doubling your account. Then you can withdraw the 5,000 or 6,000 US dollars, leave 4,000 in, compound it, so you're left with 14, making 14k, right? You're making 14k the next month. You take again 6k. How much is left in the account, right? So it keeps on growing as time goes. As time moves on, the account is always growing, right? So however, a beginner's balance can be altered to increase the growth of your trading account by doing the following. Number one, you need to understand, and number two, you need to understand and use one system for all trades taken. By system, I don't mean like mine, where it decides and gives you signals, right? I mean genuine. Understand your strategy. If you're using support and resistance, understand it to the point where you understand and you're only using support and resistance. If you're using supply and demand, understand it and only use supply and demand on your main account, right? Avoid testing and over risking in your main account. For example, I have two accounts. I have my main account and every other account. Every other account is where I can take a fraction of money, let's say 5,000 rand, 5,000 ZAR, which is roughly around 500 USD, and I flip it. It could go to 10 million, could go to 100,000. I really don't care. I care but it's for me to flip, right? And my main account is where I keep my my 6-figure trading account, hopefully going to 8, and then I just trade it consistently. I don't over leverage. I risk very, very low. I risk 1% or 0.5% per trade. I am very, very cautious on that trading account, because that is the account where I look towards. That is the account that measures my real growth, right? So you also need to avoid testing and over risking, because that's how I promote it. I say, number one, have your main account where this is where you're using one thing consistently. Then every other account, if you find a strategy that you find interesting and you feel like it could work and upgrade your life, you put it into that trading account. Then you're always learning in a sense, right? So for me personally, in my opinion, a good amount to start trading is $1,000, because you'll be making $1,000, and considering if you're using a system that doesn't need you to be on your laptop 24/7, you'll be making $1,000 while having your job. So it's an extra $1,000, and over time you can compound it all the way to 10k USD per month, and then over time it goes on to the hundreds, and then eventually you start really having upgrades in your life and starts putting things into perspective. Now you have options and etc and etc. So that is it, and I am going to close the video roundabout here. Here's the trade on Dogecoin as indicated on my previous update, and then GBP USD, there's another trade happening right now. Peace.